You're on your way to greater efficiency and improved safety with the use of a Magliner GEMINI. It is important to understand the proper and safe way to use your GEMINI before the first use. No personal protection equipment is required to use the GEMINI. However, the operator may choose to wear their glove of choice when using the GEMINI. Always inspect your equipment before use. A simple inspection takes only a few minutes, but can save you time and inconvenience later. Check the tires for wear. Tighten any loose fasteners on the GEMINI, and look for bent or broken parts. Never use a GEMINI that is not in proper working order. If you use a broken GEMINI, you risk damaging the delivery and, more importantly, you risk injuring yourself. The GEMINI was designed for indoor and outdoor use. The puncture-proof solid tires have sawtooth tread that works well on smooth and rough terrain. When the GEMINI is used outdoors, especially when loaded, use extra caution if the walk surface is wet or icy. It may be safer to take multiple trips with smaller loads if the walk surface has reduced traction, as the GEMINI may be easier to maneuver. Take care when loading the GEMINI to prevent injury. Use proper alignment by lifting with your legs, not your back. Try to keep your head up and back straight while you load. Never twist at your back. Instead, turn with your feet. When loading the GEMINI, a balanced, stable load is best. Try to stack heavier items at the bottom and lighter items on top. Don't overload the GEMINI. 2 trips are safer than 1. Never exceed the weight capacity limit for the GEMINI. The capacity in the 2-wheeled position is 500 pounds. The capacity in the 4-wheel position is 1,000 pounds. Always position yourself uphill from the GEMINI when descending on natural grades, sloping, or uneven surfaces. Avoid making sharp turns when pushing the GEMINI. Always keep your eyes on the path. When using the GEMINI, look for obstructions, cracks, holes, and uneven surfaces. Look for any vehicle or foot traffic. Note blind corners, doors, and curbs. Be prepared for areas that could pose a problem while you deliver, and try to avoid them altogether, even if it means a few extra steps. Never leave the GEMINI unattended in an aisle, hallway, or any other area where someone may trip over it. If you are transporting the GEMINI between locations, always secure it in the vehicle before driving to the next location. When converting the GEMINI between the 2-wheel and 4-wheel position, be sure to allow adequate room on a flat surface and keep hands out of the way of moving parts. To convert to 4-wheel position, hold the GEMINI securely with one hand on the upper handle and the other hand on the top frame crossmember. Press release latch. Keeping the upper handle as perpendicular to the ground as possible, slide the frame down the upper handle until the handle plate rests on the spreader rod. To convert to 2-wheel position, keeping the upper handle as perpendicular to the ground as possible, slide the frame up the upper handle. Continue lifting the frame to the top of the upper handle until it becomes perpendicular to the ground. With the GEMINI wheels and nose resting squarely on the ground, swing the bottom of the upper handle toward the GEMINI frame so that the spreader rod locks firmly in place with the latch lock assembly. Make sure the spreader rod is securely locked in place before using the GEMINI. It is advisable to use in the 2-wheel position for deliveries with limited space, frequent stairwells and curbs, busy freight elevator usage, high density of pedestrians, and for deliveries weighing no more than 500 pounds. It is advisable to use in the 4-wheel position for deliveries with larger loads up to 1,000 pounds and delivery areas free of steps, curbs, or other large obstacles. Do not use the GEMINI on stairwells in the 4-wheel position. The GEMINI requires little cleanup when the task is finished. Make sure the GEMINI is stored on a flat surface, somewhere where it will not be a trip hazard. If the GEMINI is stored in a vehicle, be sure to secure it before walking away. When needed, the GEMINI can be cleaned with a mild solvent and a soft rag. If the GEMINI has been used in an oily or greasy environment, the wheels can be cleaned with a mild degreaser and a rag to optimize traction on smooth surfaces. Don't forget to review the owner's manual regularly to keep these safety tips and proper usage guidelines at the forefront of mind. It also includes helpful troubleshooting tips and a recommended maintenance schedule to keep your Gemini in optimal condition. By following the steps in this video and in the owner's manual, the Magliner GEMINI will prove itself a valuable tool.